Your life as a Gooner. The glow of your monitor is the only sun you've seen in 3 days, and honestly, that feels right. Outside, the world is loud, messy, and keeps demanding things you aren't ready to give. Your eyes are dry, stinging from the blue light of your phone that you've been scrolling on for how long? You swipe down on your screen to check. It's 2:14 p.m. Damn, half the day is gone. Your throat feels like you've swallowed a handful of dry, letting the room spin for a heartbeat before your brain catches up to your body. Getting out of bed is always the hardest part, mostly because it feels like leaving a safe harbor for a storm you didn't ask to be in. You shuffle toward the kitchen, your bare feet sticking to a floor that probably needs a deep clean. There's a stack of bowls in the sink, leaning dangerously, and you stare at them, wondering when things got so messy. It's easier to ignore the stale smell of old takeout and grab a bottle of water from the fridge. You chug it standing right there in the dark, the cold plastic feeling good against your warm climate. Back in your room, the chair creaks as you sit down. That familiar sound, a small comfort. You hit the power button on the tower and watch the RGB strips flicker to life, casting neon-colored shadows across posters you haven't moved in years. The monitor glows, and before the desktop even finishes loading, your fingers are already moving on the mouse. Muscle memory pulling up the same tabs you always have. Everything is exactly where you left it. It feels like the world outside the door is moving at a different speed. A blurry, fast-paced thing that you don't need to worry about as long as the connections. You scroll through the feed, letting the infinite loop of short clips wash over you. There's a guy breaking down why a specific brand of energy drink is poisoning everyone, and you watch the whole thing, nodding along even though you know none of it will change how you live. It's just noise that fills the space. A shadow shifts in the corner of your vision, but you don't turn to look. It's probably just a sock that fell off the laundry basket. And it doesn't matter enough. After an hour, your stomach growls, shaking you out of it. You head back to the kitchen, opening a cabinet to find the last box of cereal, feeling a weird sense of relief that you don't have to cook anything complicated. While you pour the cereal, you catch your reflection in the oven glass and look away quickly. You don't want to think about what you look right now. Carrying the bowl back to the desk, your heartbeat quickens. It's that time of day again. You kick the door shut with your heel. The room feels smaller now, tighter. As you settle back into the chair and lock eyes with the tab, the one that makes your pants grow tight. When you're done, you trudge to the bathroom to clean up. As the water runs cold over your skin, you stare at the mirror, really looking at yourself for the first time today. You hate what you see. The person looking back is tired and lost. You breathe out, a long, shaky exhale that clears some of the tension out of your chest. The truth goes back into hiding again. Wait, the lights went out on their own? You dash back to your room, grabbing an open bag of chips on the floor along the way as a comfort food, and it's not good. Your server in the closet lets out a final pathetic whine before the whole setup dies. The screens go black, plunging you into absolute terrifying darkness. You sit there for a full minute, panicked, your hand clicking a mouse that no longer does anything. You stand up, stumble to the window, and yank the heavy black curtains open. The light hits you like a physical blow. You squint, shielding your eyes, and realize how truly dusty and gray the room has become. You don't have a choice. You have to leave the house to open a public library or a cafe with power. Put on a hoodie, grab your wallet, step outside for the first time in weeks. It's overwhelming. The sounds of cars and people moving like a chaotic and scripted movie. You head to the local coffee shop, the only place you know with a charging station. Inside, it smells like roasted beans and burnt cinnamon. You walk up to the counter, your movements jerky. That's when you see her. She's working behind the espresso machine, her hair tucked behind her ears, moving with a grace you've only ever seen in high-definition video games. She looks up, her eyes catching yours, and she smiles. A real human smile that isn't directed at a camera. You freeze, feeling like an alien who just landed on Earth. Can I have a hot Americano, please? She lets out a cute laugh and tells you it'll be $5. Your shaky hands fumble with your coins. And with a nervous parting smile, you finally complete your first social interaction in too long, finding a seat by the window. You watch her work. You watch the way she laughs at a customer's joke and how she helps an older lady find a seat. You blink, and it's not a movie or a dream. Something shifts in your chest. It's a feeling of profound, aching envy. followed by a sudden, sharp desire to be part of the blur instead of the person watching it from the shadows. You stay there for 3 hours, not even opening your laptop. Just drink your coffee and watch the world. The next day, you come back. You're nervous, your skin feeling like it doesn't quite fit. When you see her, you try to say a casual hello, but trip over your own feet, stumbling into a chair with a loud, clattering crash that draws every eye in the room. Your face burns, a deep scorching red, and you mumble a frantic apology while trying to regain your dignity. She rushes over, helping you pick up your bag, and she just gives you a gentle, knowing smile. "It happens to the best of us," she says, her voice kind, not mocking. You want to crawl under the floorboards, but you stay. You order a latte this time, and when she hands it to you, she says, "You're back. You know, you don't have to look so terrified of the world." It's a simple observation, but it's the first time anyone has called you out on your fear in a way that didn't feel like an attack. You talk for 5 minutes about the rain outside, and you learn her name is Maya, and that her eyes sparkle when she talks about old vinyl records. When you leave, you feel like you've just run a marathon, tired, breathless, but incredibly physically alive. The social trials continue for weeks, and they aren't all victories. There is the time you try to compliment her apron and end up saying something so awkward about coffee beans that you both just stand there in a painful, ringing silence for 7 seconds. There's the time you try to join a conversation at a nearby table and just end up hovering, forgotten, like a piece of furniture until you slink away back to your corner. Each failure feels like a stinging reminder of how long you spent in the dark. But every time you walk out that door, you have a little less of that heavy protective armor you used to wear and get closer to the life you dreamed to have with Maya. One afternoon, you ask Maya if she wants to go for a walk after her shift. You're terrified, your heart hammering against your ribs like a bird you trap without chance for bail. You wait by the door, your hands sweating, thinking about all the reasons she might say no, but she walks out, sees you, and smiles. "I've actually been waiting for you to ask," she says. The first date is the beginning of the end of the Gooner you. Play that back if you need to. You go to a park, and instead of a screen, you look at the way the light catches the leaves. You don't feel the need to look at your phone. You're just there. The first time you've been truly present in years. You find that you're funny, you're caring, and you're a person who can love and be loved. As the weeks turn into months, the relationship deepens. You have your first real argument over which movie to watch, and for a terrifying moment, you think she's going to leave because you don't know how to navigate conflict without a mute or block button. But you stay and you talk it out, and you realize that opening the door to disagreement invites real closeness. She proposes you meet her parents. A dinner just thinking about makes you so nervous you joke to her you might accidentally drop a fork 3 times. Fast forward to it, you drop it 4 times. But her dad just laughs and pours you another drink. You start helping her with small things, fixing a leaky faucet in her apartment, and you feel a sense of pride that you haven't felt since you were a kid. You're building something together. Brick by brick, moment by moment. But while you've stopped the gooning, you've got a job, you've got a girl, and you figure you're basically a high-functioning member of society now. It's when you think the struggle is over and you've got it all figured out that reality loves to humble you. And one day, the floor falls out. At work, your coworker whispers to you of a new hire who's an absolute smoke show of a baddie. He prays that she isn't already taken. Then you see her. She locks eyes with you too. She does that seductive stare you see in movies, looking you up and down, biting her lip and then smiling, before sauntering away. As you're about to leave your lunch break, she appears before you, introduces herself as Elena, and asks if you want to get lunch with her. Your heart flutters and think a meal with a coworker should be fine. But then she leaves a note, gives you suggestive glances during meetings, and leans in a little too close. It starts feeding into that old ego-driven part of you that wants to be the guy who gets attention. It's intoxicating and makes you feel powerful. You start taking late nights to finish the project where you exchange flirts, just enough to feel the rush, and you tell yourself it's just for confidence. But the peak of it is when you're heading home from work and your phone dings with a text, a digital wink that invites you into a world where consequences don't exist. Your heart races, and you never thought you'd get this chance in your dreams, let alone in your life. and now it's knocking right on your door, and all you have to do is to open it and let it in. You rack your brain, thinking how to reply as you walk home. You enter the house and see Maya is already cleaning up. You feel a little guilty for the things you've been doing with Elena at work, but no way she finds out. You say your "I love you" to Maya before heading to bed. Next thing, you're woken up by a scream. You jolt out of bed, and before you can come to your senses, Maya storms into the room with your stray drive you'd hidden all your goon material in. Oh my god! How did she find it? This isn't "that was my past self, I'm a changed man that you've been in love with" moment you can still have a chance of saving, because the last open date isn't years ago when you met Maya in that coffee shop for the first time and decided to turn a new leaf. She's pointing where it says yesterday, and the day before, and before, and before, and before. Yes! This whole time, you've been secretly gooning regularly whenever Maya wasn't around and hiding it from her. You couldn't help it because you felt that void in your character has never left. And the habit was so strong, it got the better of you when you were back to your daily low. And Maya's not done. She couldn't help but notice that the top content in your goon material was a girl from your office. Cooked. You want her to say something. You beg her to not just stand there, but it's just silence. Then she runs outside. You desperately follow her into the living room, and it is to your horror. She had already packed all her essentials into a few bags, carrying them over her shoulders and in her arms, and is looking at you like you're a stranger she's never actually met. Her last words were, "I never knew you at all," and just walks right out the door. It hits you all at once. In your river of tears and despair, you realize you don't know anything about how to be a partner. You thought not being a gooner was the finish line, but it was barely the starting block. You didn't even have it in you to try to explain or to apologize, because you don't even have the language for your own baggage. You're shattered. You sink into a state of total nihilism, retreating to your old apartment. You go full tilt into the addiction, using it not to enjoy, but to erase your own consciousness. You start an affair with Elena, not because you love her, but because she's a mirror reflecting your own brokenness. You're living in a toxic loop, playing the part of a bad guy because it's easier than being a man who failed. A few months later, you're at a grocery store and you see Maya. She's with someone else, someone who looks at her with genuine, simple affection you used to have. You tell yourself that both of you weren't compatible, but you see the way she laughs with him, and you realize she's truly free of you. It's a gut-wrenching reality. You realize you haven't just lost her. You've lost the only version of yourself that was ever worth anything. It clicks in your mind. You're back at the bottom of the valley, and this time, you realize you can't just try harder. You have to actually change the way your brain processes desire and attention. You immediately break it off with Elena, quit your job, and start an agonizing, quiet reconstruction. It's scary, and you're afraid of what your life is gonna be left off from here. Can't think of anything. Basically zero. But then you think of therapy, because there is one thing, and you're terrified of losing that only real thing you've ever had. You listen and learn that your need for Elena was just your old gooner brain trying to solve a loneliness problem with a dopamine fix. And your gooning habits were avoiding connection because connection requires the risk of being seen. You stop trying to prove you're fixed and start doing the boring, difficult work of being honest. Even when it's ugly. You find a new job, one where you work with your hands, and you learn to sit with the discomfort of silence instead of drowning it. You change your phone, you delete the partitions, and you start living a life that is transparent, boring, and real. It takes months of walking on eggshells and humble pie, but you slowly stop pretending and start becoming. You finally understand that there is no finish line, only the daily choice to be present, to be honest, and to be the man who deserves the life he's building. But your heart tells you that there's still one more thing left to do to fully make peace with yourself. You need to make amends with Maya. So you reach out to her, just to offer a sincere, one-paragraph apology that asks for nothing. She sees your sincerity, just like the first time you met. When you meet her this time, you don't trip. You talk, you listen, you show her, not tell her, that the man who ruined everything is dead. And the man standing in front of her is someone who spent every single day earning the right to ask for her trust again. She hesitantly agrees to give you a second chance. As a friend, she comes to find out that her boyfriend cheated on her and goes through an emotional turmoil, but you help her through it, the full, ugly process of it, because you love her, and now you actually know what it means to mean it. It's a slow burn, but eventually you win her trust back. You get married in a small, quiet ceremony where the only thing that matters is that you both know how hard it was to get to the altar. 6 months into your new life, you have a bad day. You fail a project at work. You get into a fight with Maya, the worst you've ever had. You go to your man cave, and the urge to go back to the old habits of cheap relief is like a physical hunger. You sit down in front of the computer, your finger hovering over the power button. The darkness beckons. It's so easy with just 1 hour, just one click to turn off the pain in you. You touch the button, but before it can boot up, you look at the photo of Maya you have taped to your desk. She's laughing, her head thrown back, completely unaware she was being photographed. You realize that if you click that button, you're not just hurting yourself. You're gonna lose the only thing that ever made you happy. For good this time. For the first time, you turn the computer off. You stand up, walk out the front door, and drive to Maya's house instead. You apologize. You hold her. You realize that real love requires the courage to be vulnerable, even if it risks her leaving you for who you were in the past. And you choose that over the cold, hollow comfort of the screen. Best part? She put her arms around you to give you a hug and console you that you may have been a disaster in your past, but she loves you for the man you are now. You can't help but smile, knowing you made the right choice. Your recalling of your whole life is interrupted by your wife's cry of pain. The hospital room is sterile, bathed in the soft, rhythmic hum of monitors that track the life you've built together. Maya is about to deliver your first child. You are stressed, but you are gonna be there for her, with her, fighting to bring him into this life you both fought so hard to build and rebuild. Finally, a cry that is coming from him now. You smile wider than you ever have before and look to Maya. She's exhausted, her hair damp against the pillow, but she's smiling through the haze of medication and relief. You're huddled close to the bed, your hands shaking, not with the anxiety of a screen addict, but with the raw, terrifying wonder of a father. A nurse gently places the small, swaddled bundle into your arms, and for a moment, the entire world outside these four walls ceases to exist. You look down at your son, his tiny face, a map of the future, then shift your gaze to Maya. Reaches out a trembling hand to trace your jawline. You lean in, kissing her in the forehead, and then resting your forehead against hers, the weight of the moment grounding you in a way you never thought possible. Look at him, she whispers, her voice a fragile, beautiful sound. He's finally here. What a long dream that was. Is that what my life would be like if I stopped being a gooner? We'll think about that tomorrow. But first, I've been really wanting to watch this eyeball guy's videos.